Ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, this is Fire Talk Radio, episode 51. Tonight, we are going to talk about AOC and why her constituents are not liking her. We're going to look at some key Senate races throughout the United States to see where everyone stands. We're going to see about Joe Biden's quid pro quo, see how that plays out. Elon doesn't want to pay for Ukraine anymore, and more of an update on our student loan forgiveness. This and more on Fire Talk Radio. This is Fire Talk Radio Podcast, and you can check us out on firetalkradio.com. You can email us at firetalknetwork@gmail.com. You can send us a voicemail at 814-380-9820. You can always check us out live on YouTube and Rumble. Hit the like and subscribe button to find out when we go live. And subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting streaming platform.
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to...
Well, howdy do. I am sorry for all those that are missing us. We were not, unfortunately, live Friday. Jason had a fight. Saturday was
I
just
didn't have
weird.
a fight. I was coaching a fight. One of my... Yeah, so...
He was a
Friday
part
was
of a fight.
weigh-ins for a fight on Saturday. Unfortunately, I had a bet. Like, 3 of my fighters lost.
So sad. And
the last fight was great. Yeah, the last fight back in the spring. Well,
yeah,
I guess it would have been summer because it was June. Every one of them won. Like 2 TKOs, and it was great. This fight, all 3 of them lost by TKO. It was horrible.
I think my comment to you was when you said
I
I asked you how the fight went, and you were like, terrible. I said, "What did your fighters get their shit rocked?" And when you gave me this, what happened, I was like, "Yeah, they got their shits rocked."
Yeah. Well, no, I give them a lot of credit. I mean, they're all really good, experienced fighters. The people that they were fighting were also really good and experienced. So,
sure.
It just didn't go our way. You can prepare and all that. One of the hard things with when it comes to mixed martial arts, just like boxing, is people drop out for injuries and for other stuff in the last minute. So they got to scramble to find another fighter to fill that slot. And so 2 out of my 3 fighters, we didn't know who their opponent was going to be until like a week before. So we were preparing for somebody else.
That sucks. So you're prepping for one person, and then like, oh, we're going to swap them with Joe Schmo. And you're like, yeah, he's going to kick the shit out of you now because you have no idea how to prep for this.
Not even that, but like, we were preparing our tactics. Like one of the guys was really tall and had reach, so we were working on getting close, closing the distance, grappling, getting underneath them, shooting. And then he ended up getting switched out for a guy that's shorter than my fighter and actually is a really, really good wrestler. And so, it changed our whole game plan. We tried switching up, and I tried teaching them more defensive wrestling and not getting taken down and stuff like that. It just didn't work out the way that we wanted. But no, they fought really hard, really tough opponents, and it's always a great experience being able to corner and coach fighters. And so like I tell my wrestlers, every match is just preparation or practice for the next match. So I give themselves a week to rest and not think about fighting, and come back next week and we start over again for the next one.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
this time of year, as before, fall time is always kind of hard and hit and miss for me. We'll be shuffling things around a little bit because it is also hunting season, which means me being a hunter, an avid hunter. That means taking weekends and trying to get away so I can get in the woods, because that's how we get our meat. I don't think we really bought meat in my house probably 6 years. I always try to get 1 or 2 deer plus small game, supplement our groceries, especially with the grocery prices right now.
Jesus Christ. I don't even want to talk about that.
I think we talked about this. I couldn't believe went and bought groceries, like lunch meat and everything to take to the fights and everything. Walk out of there $200.
My old grocery bill, I mean, like before this inflation, because it's a fucking inflation.
The Biden inflation.
Sure. Went from like $180 to $200 to $500 for the same amount of fucking crap, mind you. It's the same stuff. There's nothing changing in what I'm buying. It's just that's that. And I'm like, fine, whatever. And the thing is, like, I'm okay. I can say personally for myself, for what I do for a living, what my wife does for a living, we're able to make that trade on it, and it not feel like it's like really killing us when it really is killing us. Because it's like, if I wasn't working from home, because I'm a homebody, I live at home and I work, there's no way I'd have a $500 grocery bill. There's no way. With the price of gas, I couldn't do it. It would be terrible.
That's where we're having a harder time right now, because I worked from home from 2013 until I left my job. And then last year, I was a stay-at-home dad, homeschooling my son. So the only person driving to work was my wife for 10 years almost.
Heck yeah.
Now I'm driving to work every day also, and having to fill up both cars every week. And with the gas prices, we're talking $60 a car, $60 a vehicle.
Oh man, I bought a new truck.
So, and that's considering right now the gas prices. Have you looked at the gas prices? They're so fluctuating. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they were like almost $4 a gallon. Then they jumped up to $4 in my place. Then they jumped up to like $4.60. Now they're down to like $4.32, and some places they're back up to $4.50. Like,
yeah,
there is no.
It doesn't make sense. No, because I bought a new truck last week. We traded our Jeep in. We had a Jeep Cherokee. Don't get me wrong, it was good for the purpose of it, but it was, when you go from a full-size Nissan Pathfinder, to half the size with a Jeep Cherokee, you realize how much room you're actually using and miss it. So we've been looking at trucks. We weren't planning to get a truck until the new year. But this one we got was a 2020 Dodge Ram Laramie edition. Okay. And it was fully loaded. I mean, anything you can think of is in this fucking truck. And it's Dodge's Night Edition, their Ram's Night Edition. So it's grayed out. Rims are all blacked out. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty. I don't like
it or lease it.
I bought it. We bought it. It
Okay.
only had like 29,000 miles when we bought it. So I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't too upset
I
about buying, and it still needs to be broken in. Usually, they say the first vehicle's not broken in until after you hit the first 50,000 miles. Um,
yeah.
so I mean, it runs great. We just had to put gas in it finally, because when we got it from the dealership, they were so nice to fill the tank. Didn't ask how much it was going to
Oh,
take
they'd
to
always
fill
do.
the
Yeah.
tank, but they filled it. I went to go fill it. I put $60 in it and didn't fill it up, and I was like, "Fuck." And then I found
No,
out I found the original sticker in with all the books from the guy previous. He had the tank swapped out, the 23-gallon tank to the 26-gallon tank. So I'm like, well,
Woo.
that's why I can never. So
I'm getting out a calculator right now. So 26 times. We're gonna average at about 445.
it's 410. It's 410 for 89.
What?
Yeah.
410? Dude, you guys are cheap. Times 410. $106.
I figured as much. Yeah, it's going to be $100 to fill it.
So
yeah.
back in 2018, I leased. I didn't buy, because I figure I'd lease it and then buy it at the end.
Yeah,
I
right?
leased I'm a Ford family, and so I leased a Ford.
See,
F-150
we were looking at
2018.
the 2021 F-150 because of the new interior, how they set up. My wife loved the new screen that they had, and I liked it. It was nice, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we compared it to the new Silverado, same year Silverado and everything. Silverado was cheaper than the Ford. It felt cramped inside that new Silverado. And I was like, yep, nope.
Ford feels so huge inside.
It
like
does.
The Ford interior, I had the full size cab, feels bigger than any SUV I've ever done.
No. And then when the same feeling of the Ford, I got the same roominess inside that Dodge. I was like, I'm okay. I mean, I'm 6 foot. The best thing is my wife is only 5'1". She will inch herself, but I will tell you she's like 5'1". But they have the pedal adjuster in it, so the pedals can come to her, so she's not sitting on the steering wheel, and she loves that. Yeah. I gotta get used to the knob.
That, and it was nice.
I gotta get used to the knob.
Yeah, but when I got I'm used truck, to, it was brand new. The only miles that were on it was what it took to drive it to the lot. And I think it came from Kentucky. It was delivered to a lot in Kentucky, and I told them what I wanted, like what color, and I wanted to have running boards on the bottom, and I wanted to have the guard on the bottom because I go backcountry when I'm hunting and stuff. The skid plates and all that. So I told them that, and they found one in Kentucky. So with 0 miles on it, but they had to drive it from Kentucky up here to Michigan. So the only miles that were on it was the 500 miles to drive it from Kentucky to here.
They didn't have it car
Again,
transported.
I worked at home. So no. So they had it transported to the lot in Kentucky, but not up here. So they I got at least because I don't put any miles on vehicles because I work from home. So I was putting on 1,500 miles a year. Like when I turned it in, there was
I guess that would make
5
sense.
years, there was less than 5,000 miles or less than 20,000 miles on it. So maybe 2,000 miles a year or 3,000, something like that. But it was very little. Anyway, it was a 23 gallon tank. But at the time I bought it, gas was also like $2.35 a gallon.
Yeah, right.
Mind you, see, this is the part that Democrats forget. Even before the pandemic, gas was still cheap. When we talk about gas being cheap during Trump, we're not just talking about during the pandemic when it got down to like $1.50. We're talking about when it was like $2.35. Now it's like doubled that. So
we're back. We're back in the Obama era.
And, well, during Obama, it was more expensive. During Obama, we were in the $3. We were in the dollars, if you remember.
Yeah.
Even at the end of his. So anyway, and then it took Trump, about a year or two to get the gas prices down again. And then COVID hit, it dropped even more. And then Biden took over, signed off everything Trump did, and gas prices shot back up. And we're going to talk about the Saudis in a minute with Biden. Yes. So anyway, I have this truck. I loved it. I wanted to buy it. I left my job. I couldn't afford it. I sold it off. Actually, I sold it to my parents. So periodically I still get to drive it, but, and that thing, the last time I had to fill it up before, I want to say it cost me $100 and some odd, because I drove it. I borrowed it from them back in like May when it was like $5 a gallon, and it cost me like, I want to say $110 or $115. But that truck gets better gas mileage than the I sold it and got a cheap 2008 Honda Pilot, and the Pilot is like a gas guzzler compared to what that truck was.
Might as well just kept the truck.
Because the newer trucks, they have that EcoBoost, and they have there's so
I
much more
fucking hate that EcoBoost. I was sitting at a light and I heard it just like turn off, and I'm like, no, and I touched the gas pedal just so it kicked back on. I'm like, fuck you, I don't. How do I know you're going to turn back on? It's a little nerve-wracking.
That is my problem with that. It drives me nuts. My wife's has it because she's got a Ford Escape, and my Pilot has it. It's not the EcoBoost, automatic four-wheel drive. The all-wheel drive that automatically turns on and off when it senses and things need it.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts because in Michigan, we need it a lot in the winter.
True.
The problem is it'll turn on until it thinks it has grip. Then it turns off, and all of a sudden the car kicks to the side, or it won't turn on fast enough, and you're in a half skid. That was the thing when I wanted that truck. Is I told them, whatever you give me, it better have a four-wheel drive that I can turn on and off.
Yeah, I enjoy. I mean, my Hyundai, I have a Hyundai Elantra. It's only two-wheel drive, and I said, I mean, it's a great little car. It's front-wheel drive, so you can go through the snow. You just not a pile of snow.
Front-wheel drive, you can.
So I mean, my wife's not comfortable driving in the snow, and I said that's perfectly fine. Take the truck.
Well, it's where we live. You got to get used to it a little bit, but I know a lot of it whenever possible.
Sidetrack. Do you watch college football at all?
No.
So over the weekend,
I'll be no help to this discussion.
No. My extended family lives in Tennessee, and God love them. So over the weekend was the Tennessee Volunteers versus Alabama. Um, and it came down. It came down to the last 2 seconds in fourth quarter to Tennessee kicking a field goal for 52-49, and it was absolutely amazing to watch Alabama get their shit kicked in, and Nick Saban can go suck a nut. So,
My Facebook feed was filled with people saying the similar thing to what you're saying. But nope, I didn't see it. So
no, I mean, other than that, all right, let's get into the show.
yes,
Again, this is episode 51. Thank you for all hanging out. As you like my little pop up there of how to contact us, yes, please. Our Pandora listeners are starting to starting to hit the charts there. They're taking over the highest viewed part of our show, which is fantastic. So
wow.
if you're listening to us on Pandora,
thank you, Pandora.
thank you very
listeners.
much. So I want to make fun of AOC a little bit because she thinks she's all high and mighty with her constituents. She has what their best, her best intentions, except for, so she was at a rally and a constituent stepped up and literally called her out for how she's becoming a warmonger, that they support the Ukraine war, and that they are voting to possibly go into nuclear war, which has been, you have to understand, nuclear war we've been prepping for since JFK. JFK back then told us to put underground bunkers on our properties. Because the threat of Russia deciding to say fuck you and throwing nukes.
Well, the thing with like AOC and the Democrats is that they're in this, they're using Ukraine as a proxy war with Russia.
Oh yeah.
And that's just it's that's where I have the problem with the Ukraine war. Don't get me wrong. I think Ukraine has every right to defend themselves against Russian invaders. We should help them with is them sending $40 billion, not knowing where it's going.
Yeah.
Not knowing where any of the money is going. And then part of that 40 billion that is literally going to U.S. defense contractors to build ammunition for them. So they really are warmongering. People are getting rich off of this war because of the Democrats voting for all of this money. And this is a proxy war. And Russia knows that this is a proxy war. You have Biden, who is like poking the bear with Putin, because Biden is basically, he's been doing that right from the beginning. First, he told Putin, hey, if Putin doesn't take too much, maybe we'll do nothing. It's, essentially speaking. Then he tells him, well, Putin's unstable. We don't know what he's going to do. He could do anything. This is where we have such problems with the administration and these Democrats, because they are pushing for us to intervene in this war and pushing us against Russia. We may not have been allies with Russia, but at least, we had that mutually assured destruction with Russia, that you don't use nukes or we're going to have to use nukes.
We won't fuck with you if you don't fuck with us. So, here's a constituent.
It's a carrot and a stick thing. Here, yeah, go ahead.
let's make fun of it. Let's see how AOC responds.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsa Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because they're a bunch of war hawks. Okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider. Yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts where you've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless you choose to stand up right now and denounce the Democratic Party. Will you do that? Yes or no? Okay, simple. Are you going to stop nuclear war? Yes or no? There is no line, because this is none of this matters if we're all dead. None of it. You know that. Then let's take it up right now, because this is the only thing that matters. This is the only thing that matters right now. We could be in a nuclear war at any minute, and you continue to fund it. That's what's going on. Why not right now? You're the liar here. Nobody has held you accountable. That's what's happening. And it is time for you to stand up and realize that what you've been saying has been lies. Let your conscience come through for once.
Take a look at it. There are, and it's not just Japan and South Korea, but there are quite a few countries that are really struggling because young people,
Well, that had nothing to do with it. But
So
he's not wrong.
We're not talking about this. No. And she's playing politician. We're not talking about this right now. This isn't the discussion we're having. This isn't. It's the same thing that Karine Jean-Pierre does to Ducey and everybody else now. You notice Karine Jean-Pierre is getting it more and more from other networks?
Oh, no, she is getting late. Oh, I watched it today, and the last question literally goes unanswered. She never answers it. She's just like, well, let me tell you, fucking Christ, woman, can't you answer a goddamn question? So, I mean,
no,
it is what it is.
You know, just like AOC, their whole job is to spin. And so, yeah, this war in Ukraine is a proxy war that the Democrats are fighting. And it's hurting us. It's hurting us. It's hurting Europe. Now, does that mean that just let Russia roll in and, take over Ukraine? No. What it means is a good diplomat having a carrot and a stick, saying to Putin, listen, you're losing people left, right, and center. This didn't go the way you thought. You're losing money. You're losing support. You're losing military. Here's the carrot. We'll give you
the problem is
what you took in 2014.
There's a sleeping country that hasn't gotten their name in there yet. And if they're provoked, they're probably most likely going to side with Russia, and that would be China. Because we're already poking China as a bear with Taiwan.
Yep.
So if we keep fighting for Taiwan, and we should, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is Russia will have no problem saying, we will back you if you back us. Well,
right.
There's two superpowers right there. And then you got North Korea.
We're going to end up in another world war. North Korea is going to join them. Iran's going to join them. We're giving Iran nuclear
we're we're giving everybody a reason to fucking just start turning everybody with green radiation in a little while, and that's the thing.
And we're pushing Russia to the point that Putin basically has to say either I get out of this and lose all support of anybody in Russia, or we drop tactical nuclear detonation in to win the war, because we can't win it on the ground. And
so, I mean, and then there's Germany.
But we gotta give them a carrot, an out, and we have to give them a stick, saying, "Here's the carrot, here's the out, here is the stick."
They're not. That's the problem. Is that
this is what we're going to do.
Russia's too invested in getting sections of Ukraine back. That's the thing everyone forgets. Ukraine used to be part of Russia at one time. They were all one country.
Well, it was all part of the Iron Curtain, Ukraine, Crimea, all of that.
So, I mean...
And it's not like they deserve it. You know, they were broken up for a reason after the USSR.
Yeah.
But...
I mean... But Putin's always been in his head. I mean, he was an old... Was it KGB... officer for... Yeah, so, but he's always wanted to bring the Iron Curtain back. He stated that, I don't know how many times, bringing back the Iron Curtain. And the only way to bring the Iron Curtain back is to bring back the countries that were involved creating the Iron Curtain.
Right.
So,
you know,
it is going to be an ongoing issue.
Didn't we just have 2 new countries join the UN?
No, they applied.
Sweden.
I don't know if they've actually gotten in yet.
They applied.
I'm not aware. I know the Ukraine applied. Ukraine applied also. The problem is, so it is a catch-22. If Ukraine is accepted into the UN, Russia has stated that they will wipe them off the map to take back the land if that happens. But then that will trigger the World War, because then the UN has to be ready to defend Ukraine, because they're a UN nation now. I saw something weird too, that Prince Charles won't move into Buckingham Palace until after the the $350 million redecoration of Buckingham Palace. So he's removing basically everything of the Queen out of it. So I think it's fucked up, but okay. But will he be ready? Because technically he's the King of England. He will be now in charge of their military. Will England be ready? Will France be ready? No one's ready for a war. No one wants a war. But if this keeps pushing, a war's happening.
You know, and don't forget, World War II didn't start overnight. It was little bits at a time like this. One country, and then another, and then another.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so... this is, you know, and the thing is we are, and the Democrats really are pushing this, and they're pushing it in a way and elongating this war, because as Tulsa Gabbard put on the Joe Rogan, there's a lot of money to be made off of war.
Oh yeah, there's tons of money to be made off of war.
You want to talk about, you know, the left always talks about the Democrat Republican flip. This is really the only example that I can see of a flip, is that back in the day, you had the Bushes, you had the Cheneys that were pro-war, pro-warmongers. Now we're seeing this with the Democrats, and the Republicans are the ones saying, no, this isn't our fight. You know, not saying we don't support them with humanitarian aid. We don't support them, by maybe, I think they said they want to wipe away, or they have wiped away Ukraine's debt to the U.S., stuff like that. But, we have contractors that are making buku bucks off of this war because who's manufacturing the ammunition for them? Who's manufacturing the weapons that Ukraine is using?
United States.
They
have our drones.
manufacturers.
I mean, they have our drones there. They have our weapons.
Right.
And also,
and so who's paying off these Democrats to give them more money? Another $40 billion.
Taxpayers.
And if we go into a world war, there's going to be some companies that make bank off this. So, speaking of Tulsa Gabbard, Tulsa Gabbard, the guy said she had it the right way. Tulsa Gabbard has officially announced that she left the Democratic Party.
Remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, then I invite you to join me. No longer remain in today's.
So Tulsa Gabbard left. She said she is not becoming a Republican.
I'm not.
She
I mean,
staying independent.
She does have a lot of progressive policies that are the Democrats are looking at, but she won't go full Republican, and that's fine. Not asking her to be a Republican, but I would love to still see her in the political world.
My girlfriend. I don't think that'll happen, though.
I don't think that'll happen either. I mean, I believe she's married still.
No.
But,
so am I. Damn it.
Yeah, but
okay, all right.
Oh well, but no, but I wish to still see her in politics.
But, I mean,
and everything. So all is good.
There's quite a few things. She was on the Joe. Have you listened to the Joe Rogan podcast with her last week?
I did not.
Okay, you need to download that on Spotify.
I've been busy with my new job, so I haven't really had a time to sit and listen.
Listen to it in the shower. Listen to it while you're on the toilet. Listen to it in the car.
I mean, she's not wrong. I mean, I guarantee, like, Joe Rogan and her had a great conversation. And
it was amazing. And the stuff that they talked about with this Democrat Party is just amazing. It's I shouldn't be amazed, but I really am, because for them to demonize her, and she said even back when she was in Congress, it was the same thing. They were pushing her, demonizing her because she wouldn't follow their line on everything.
NBC's highlight when she was leaving, Tulsi Gabbard has left the Democratic Party. Good riddance. It's sad when if you don't toe that line, it's immediately, because she said it in her goodbye speech, how they racially motivate or they demonize you for going against them. They're happy she's gone.
Right. Now, one thing I would like, I think she would make a good presidential candidate. I think that she would be the bridge between both sides. But as she put it, do you remember Ross Perot? I'm Ross Perot. I have $2 billion.
He could never get the he ran every time.
I think that was a SNL skit or something. Yeah. So since
Ross did you see the SNL? Speaking of SNL, did you see their SNL skit of the January 6th committee? They finally did one, and it was glorious.
No, let me pull that up.
Oh yeah.
SNL Jan 6 hearings. Let's see here. CNN, USA Today. I want videos. Wow. 9 minutes long?
Yeah. It wasn't a long skit, but it was a decent skit.
9 minutes is a long skit.
For SNL, yeah.
I'm waiting for YouTube to. I've got ads up right now, and then I'll.
You gotta watch the ad before you watch the video. Yes, I gotta love YouTube. All
right. The House Select Committee will now come to order for its 9th and final hearing. The January 6th was one of the most dramatic and consequential moments in our nation's history. So to fight back, we assembled a team of monotone nerds to do a PowerPoint.
I made mine with Google Slides.
We've been investigating this horrible attack for more than a year, but today's session is going to be a little different. We're going to summarize our findings, hold a history-making vote, and then, and only then, we all get to have a little treat.
Aw, come on. Can't I have one cupcake now?
No. It's evidence, then a vote, then a little treat. All right, I would first like to recognize the gentle lady from Wyoming, who I am shocked to say has become my best friend, Liz Cheney.
Thank you, Benny. Over the past few months, this bipartisan committee has presented our case to all Americans. Whether you're a Republican who's not watching or a Democrat who's nodding so hard, your head is falling off. One person is responsible for this insurrection, Donald Trump. And one person will suffer the consequences, me. You might be wondering what makes me so tough. And I ask you, who is your dad? Is it Dickney? You might wonder, how do you have the guts to take on your entire party alone? And I'd say, when you were little, who tucked you in at night? Was it Dick Cheney? I've been asked, how did you get a backbone made of steel? And I ask back, for your 10th birthday, did you eat pizza at Chuck E. Cheese with all your friends? Or did you shoot a deer in the face with Dick Cheney? So yeah, I guess you could say I have big Dick Cheney energy.
Well, thank you very much, gentle lady from Wyoming. The chair now recognizes really the gentleman from California here, and maybe the horror movie Smile. Actually, no. We're going to skip him. Too spooky. All right. The chair instead recognizes the gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you. Leading up to January 6th, the FBI scoured through alt-right message boards and found disturbing comments like, who wants to burn D.C. to the ground? Anyone got room in their car for me, 10 rifles, and 30 snakes? Where do we park? Is there shuttle from La Quinta Inn to Coos? And am I at wrong Washington I see Space Needle? Yet again, President Trump didn't raise a finger. And while these hooligans were ransacking our beloved Capitol, real leaders like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were bunkered in a Senate hideaway trying to save the country.
Yes, hello, Mr. Vice President and Speaker Pelosi. What is happening over there? When can we get back to the Capitol and resume the vote?
Hello, DoorDash. It's Chuck Schumer. Yes, we still haven't received our lunch order. And yes, I did change the drop-off location due to some unfortunate treason. But it still should have arrived by now.
Okay. That's enough of that.
Yeah, that's enough. No. I mean,
the rest afterwards.
My thing is, well, speaking of I watched the actual video of Nancy Pelosi on the phone talking about wanting to punch Trump if he shows up for trespassing on Capitol ground, which makes absolutely no fucking sense.
Nancy Pelosi punching Trump would make so much sense.
That would make great. Well, the thing is, where the fuck did the camera crew come from while she's fucking making this goddamn phone call?
Well, and I thought
why was there a goddamn camera crew in there?
Every time you have Joe Biden multiple times saying he would take Trump out back of the high school and beat the shit out of him. Like, Biden, you can't stand up straight. Not that Trump's like, in great shape or anything, but if I was a betting man, I would put it on Trump in the first. Like it would be a
I mean, Trump was in the WWE at one time. So
that's right. I forgot about that. He made an appearance.
He made a few appearances, if I'm not wrong. But my thing is, like, they were like when
Tulsi
Nancy
Gabbard,
Pelosi,
my girlfriend.
Yeah.
But Tulsi Gabbard, my girlfriend, soon to be girlfriend.
Sure.
One day, I swear. Yeah.
Not happening, but
happen.
we'll keep your daydream alive.
Thank you. So as she put it, the hard part for her now is that since Ross Perot, and this is true because I remember learning about this a while ago. The Democrats and Republicans basically got together to make it almost impossible for a third party to not only win, but just get seen.
Yeah.
So if you remember in the 1990 elections, all three of them were in the debates.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had George H.W. Bush, Ross Perot, and Bill Clinton. Now, Ross Perot cost, in my opinion, Bush more votes than Clinton, but he kind of straddled the line. He pulled some votes from Clinton, pulled more from Bush. So, because of that, the Center for Presidential Debates or the Commission for Presidential Debates or whatever basically got together and said, you have to be a Republican or a Democrat to get in the debates. And without that being seen like that, there's no way a third party stands a chance. On top of that, and I'm really looking up whether or not I would like to see it change, because I think I do, is the way that our electoral college works. I don't want to go to popular vote. That's wrong. But this winner take all in the state shouldn't be either. So take Michigan, for example. Michigan, if you win 51%, you get all of the delegates. Instead of, if you win 51%, you get half the delegates plus one. And then the other side gets, so that there's representation in each state. I think by doing that, it still forces the candidates to move around to every state.
The problem is, I don't think anybody wants to reform the election process. They want to either abolish it.
Want to go to pure democracy, pure abolish the
New York, California will be what will be determining our fucking president.
Every election, yes.
Every major city will determine the next president, and every major city is blue.
But I like the idea, of if you get 60% of the votes in the state, you get 60% of the delegates. If a third party is in there and they get 20%, they get 20% of the delegates.
Yeah.
I think that is a good fair and it will also stop the monopoly of California, because California is basically a shoe-in for 57 electoral votes. How many electoral votes does California get?
I think it's like 51. It's up there because I think it's just a tad bit higher than Texas, but with all the transplants going from California to Texas may actually they may swap numbers. Hell, Florida may get more seats with all the people moving to Florida.
Well,
I thought about it. I told my wife, I was like, I'm thinking we may move to Florida. At least live in the Panhandle.
So California gets 55. Yep,
I knew it was
California
in the
gets
50.
55 electoral votes. Florida gets 29. Texas gets
it's like 40.
38.
Oh, 38.
Now
it used to be higher, I thought.
Michigan we get 16. So take New York 29 and California 55. Those two right there.
That's it.
You're talking 80.
Pennsylvania, I think, is
84.
like 18 or 20.
So out of the 260 needed to win, Democrats are a shoe-in for 84 right there.
Yeah. No,
but
I
if we move
understand
it to, and a lot of people in especially Northern California, vote Republican. There's a lot of Republicans in California. They just don't outnumber the Democrats, so all of them go. If we went to the percentage, then maybe out of California, out of 55, they might get 30 or 40 electoral votes, but 10 still go to the Republicans. I think that's a better way. I think New Hampshire is the only one that splits it like that.
All right.
And I think they only have like 2 elect votes or something. What's New Hampshire? 4. They have 4 electoral votes.
Yeah.
And so
I think Maine does it, right, where they split their state up into 3 sections. Or I think
and each section has
their own section, which is, I think, I could see happening
because in
most
Maine,
states.
3 went to Biden, 1 went to Trump.
Yep.
Because they have 4 altogether. Yep.
Yeah, I think I forgot. I think there's another. I think it's Nebraska.
I think they do too. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, that should be
somewhere mid-state.
And that's really, I think, when when the Electoral College was being done, I think that's more of what they were determining. Not that every state, you won the state, therefore you get all, 16 for Michigan.
Yeah, right.
No, it's, you won 50% of Michigan, you get half the votes.
Right.
You get half the delegates. So, speaking of what the hell is going on in Pennsylvania, with your senators or your Senate candidates?
Fetterman is an idiot. He doesn't want. I don't think he wants to admit that stroke is affecting him more than it is. He's using text-to-speech technology to do all his interviews with.
Yeah,
so literally, he has a screen.
He has to read it because of his stroke. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. His brain doesn't comprehend it, but he believes that it's just a handicap and that he should be allowed to use that. I mean, it's no worse than Biden using a teleprompter, but
it is because he's not going to have that option everywhere he goes.
No.
You know,
he is absolutely
when
not.
When he's voting on stuff,
he didn't even show up for a debate. He was having a Democratic debate with other Democratic people. And he couldn't even show up for it. And he was mocked for not showing up. And I understand the working in casual hoodie, t-shirt, jeans. But if I was going for an elected office, I think I would put on a suit. Because representation.
The thing is that's all fake. It's all fake. Because the thing is he acts like he's one of the people, because he wears Carhartts. I'm a working class man. I wear Carhartts.
That motherfucker has been sponging off his parents forever.
Exactly. He has never worked a day in his life. He is
actually, if he gets this job, this will be the first time he actually has health insurance. That's not the Affordable Care Act. I can only assume because it has been dictated that he has never had a job and that he lives off his parents. So guarantee you, he probably just paid the penalty for not having health insurance. Or he's on Medicare or Medicaid, one of the two.
I mean, didn't his parents pay for his house too? Buy his house or something like that?
They pay him $51,000 a year. But yes, they bought him a house, and then he's bought other properties that he failed to disclose and got caught. Don't get me wrong. Oz, yes, he is the conservative. He is from New Jersey, and I understand that Oz is running in the he's running in the Trump line of difference between Trump and Oz. Trump was a capitalist. He was a business person. He looked at the United States as a business. And then there's Oz. Oz is a medical professional in his own rights. And I think he's doing it.
He had a really show on TV.
Yeah. And granted, yes, he's given up his private practice to do public service. I really would have loved to have seen the debate between Oz and Fauci. I wanted to see that actually happen.
Isn't there a debate between him and Fetterman coming up?
Yes, because Fetterman had to agree to at least one debate, and it hasn't happened yet. I'm waiting for it. I actually want to see it, but it's no worse than what the Michigan governor race is going on. Because Gretchen Whitmer is throwing shots and getting called out on camera, and she is just taking it with a smile. It's like, I'm getting something jammed in my ass right now, and I can't do nothing about it.
And all of her responses during last week's debate with Oh God, I'm seeing ads, attack ads from each one of them every 10 minutes now. I keep wanting to say Tulsa Gabbard, but that's not it. It's it begins with a T. Tudor Dixon.
Yeah. She's actually
throwing.
She's actually doing very
Tudor
well.
Dixon was, yeah,
She's
Dixon
doing a
was
lot
not my
better than I
first choice.
thought she would go.
Here's the problem: it's getting outspent like crazy.
Yes.
And-
So, yes, Gretchen Whitmer is just is doing the Democratic way. If I can't out-talk it, I'm going to throw money at it. And
Right. So
that's
I'm
where
seeing probably
Tudor
10 or
Dixon is going
15
to fall
Whitmer
apart.
ads to one Tudor Dixon ad.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
But
You're
Tudor
talking
Dixon
about
did
Whitmer,
very
who-
well at the debate. I will give her that. I watched that debate. That was very impressive. She was very impressive. And Whitmer
Here's the
just
problem
tried to
with
do
that
the
debate.
onslaught.
That debate was not televised.
Was it not?
That debate, no. That debate was online.
Well, yeah.
I was not able to watch. I did not see that. No, but it wasn't televised. My grandparents did not see that debate. They're voting. My parents did not see that debate. They're voting. Now I know how they're voting, so it's not going to make a difference. But
Yeah.
so many people that didn't watch, because basically it was, I think it was WOOD in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
That may have televised it in Grand Rapids, but everywhere else in Michigan, the only way to watch it was to watch it on their Facebook feed.
The latest polls show the governors for
And that was it.
Michigan is dead even at this moment. But that could change any minute. Oh, wait, here's the actual stat. So it's
We're still 3 weeks out.
49.8 for Whitmer, 41.3 for Dixon. But it's showing that she's starting to climb. Dixon's starting to climb. So, I mean, it's going to come down to November. And
I'm not going to hold my breath that Dixon's going to win, unfortunately. If you're listening to the push her across, but the way she's being outspent, and here's my problem with Trump. Trump has the super PAC to help other candidates. He endorsed Dixon, knowing that she doesn't have a huge chunk of money to compete with, because that's what she needs in order to win. She needs to be on the radio. She needs to be on streaming services. She needs to be on every website, every pop-up, every Facebook ad, everywhere. She needs to flood. Whitmer is doing that. Whitmer has every Democrat and Democrat light
I mean, if we were more popular, I would say we try to get her on.
Yeah, that wouldn't work. She actually used to be a podcaster, though. She was a podcaster on Bannon's website.
InfoWars? No.
What's Steve?
No. I don't know. So, I mean, this is the time to get your information
But on its,
about.
she used to be a. Yeah, so he's or with Tudor Dixon, she wasn't my first choice.
No.
But being the fact that I heard about her until the end of the primaries, she still ended up winning. again, because of Detroit and Grand Rapids. If she can get it close enough in Detroit and Grand Rapids, she'll win the rest of the state. But those two main parts, Wayne County and the Grand Rapids area. That's the big thing. That's like, if you're going to win New York, you have to win New York City. If you're going to win California, you have to win LA. If you're going to win Michigan, you have to win, or at least come close in Wayne County, which is Detroit, Metro Detroit area. That's like majority of our state. Up north and everywhere, she doesn't have, Whitmer doesn't have a lot of support because she shut Michigan down for a year. It took a fucking Supreme Court to tell her you cannot be a dictator of your state.
I mean, she tried.
That's
tried
how
very
bad
well.
it was. And you know what? The thing is I'm afraid of how many people have such short memories that they can't even remember that she was shipping. She told us we could not pull our grandparents out of nursing homes while she was putting COVID patients back into them. She was telling us that we couldn't go visit our cabins. She was telling us that she freaking sued a barber or had a barber arrested for cutting hair. I have gyms. I know gym owners that are still fighting because they were fined so much because they were keeping their gym open when everybody knows that the best way to fight COVID is to be healthy. By the way, speaking of that, the CDC actually, did you hear about the CDC actually admitting that they knew right from the beginning that the mRNA vaccine wouldn't stop the transmission? Right from the beginning, they knew it and they lied.
Yeah.
They
did it
lied.
so they get paid.
They lied. They were telling us we had to get the shot to keep our jobs. And they knew it was a lie. They knew it. How fucked up is that?
Absolutely. And so
yeah, as we get closer, at least with Pennsylvania and Michigan, some of the attack ads, Michigan has a 30s anti-abortion law on the books. Right now it's being held back by the Supreme Court, who basically said, wait for people to vote. And it's on the books. And one of the attack ads is Tudor Dixon in an interview, them saying, she was talking to someone and they brought up a 12-year-old. So if a 12-year-old gets pregnant by, a family member or something, and she goes, well, that's a great example. And then they cut it off. And then a 12-year-old is not an example. Like, you don't hear what she says. And I need something like, that's a great example of, where, the person that raped her needs to be held responsible or something, not the baby. But they cut it off right there, and these attack ads, I will be so happy when they're done. But I have a feeling we have 4 more years of fucking Whitmer.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have Wolf anymore, so it's down to Josh Shapiro and Marciano, who I'm going for Marciano, because fuck Josh Shapiro.
To make this a short episode, tell us about student loan forgiveness.
All right, so if no one paid attention, The actual application for the, I'm going to hate to have to say this way, the Biden-Harris debt relief for student loans, the application was actually launched over the weekend. If you don't know about it, check it out. It is if those, and the qualifications is on studentaid.gov. But it's to either get the $20,000 or the $10,000 taken off your loan, whether you have a Pell Grant or not. So if you have a Pell Grant, $20,000. If you don't have a Pell Grant,
so it doesn't matter what you make now. It doesn't matter how your life
hang
is.
on.
It depends if your parents didn't make enough when you were in college.
No, it matters now. It goes off the most recent return. So if you're married, filing jointly, you can't make more than $250,000. If you're single, no more than $125,000. Because they'll pull your information from the IRS, actually, from the way it reads. But I mean, they decided to do this on September 29th. For those that had the older style loans, the commercial loans, they're called FELP loans. They have been announced that they were no longer eligible for that program if you didn't consolidate by September 29th. They did the cutoff dates on the announcement date. How does that make sense? I don't know. It's the Department of Ed. If you don't like it, talk to them. Because the problem is a lot of those old commercial loans, they're not actually owned by the Department of Education. They were written up by the Department of Ed, but they're actually not owned by them. They're owned by like a private entity.
That's right. Because
So,
I actually had a loan at one point through Discover.
yes, but if you were able to, if it was signed for through the Department of Ed, you could have consolidated into a federal loan. But if you didn't, then you're shut of luck. Applications are good till December of 2023. So if you don't want to do it right now, then you can do it later. But I have noticed with those that have higher balances, there is an option to opt out of it because it will affect your repayment plan and everything in the long run. So
what about
if
for
you don't,
teachers and stuff like that?
if you have lower balances and everything,
like
it's definitely a better thing.
Workers, they get like after 10 years.
That's public service. It's completely different than the debt relief. The debt relief is
okay.
I catch 22. I like it, but I also don't like it. The reason why I say that is because you signed for your loans, you signed for the degree you went to. It's not our fault that you chose a degree you can't get a job in, that there's no work for, or there's oversaturated amount of work for. But yes, and who's going to say no to free money? Technically, it's not free. We're going to end up paying it in the rears.
Yeah.
But this will definitely be something. But with that launch,
it's like I had a friend that mooches off the government, with unemployment and all that stuff. Like they knew how to play the game to get government money. And they go, well, it's free money. You should take it. And I go, it's not free money. It's money. And they go, well, it's still free to me.
It's tax money.
That was their right. But their justification was, well, it's still free to me. So,
no, I'm glad you thought that way.
Crazy as that is. I did.
All right. You got some funny videos or no?
That was their thought. No, we're not going to end this one on funny videos, but we will talk about, last thing, is Biden's quid pro quo.
All right, cool. So we're going to impeach him for that?
Do you remember when, what's that?
Are we going to impeach him now for that?
What's that?
Are we going to impeach him?
Do you remember the impeachment of Trump? Yeah.
For his quid pro quo
of Trump for quid pro quo. That was the first one. Remember, after all the Russian collusion stuff didn't pan out, they found this, that he had a phone conversation. And Zelensky, at the time, actually said, no, I didn't see this as a quid pro quo. That's not the way the conversation felt to me. Now you have Biden with the Saudis, quote, and even the Saud give us, what was it, 1.5 million barrels or 1 million barrels a day or something.
Yeah,
like that
it was 2 million barrels a day.
Month.
They asked him to keep the
2 million barrels a day for the next month, not
until after midterm elections. They didn't want him to stop their until after and everything. And the Saudi prince came out and said, "Well, Joe Biden asked for this. It wasn't. No, we're doing this because we want to."
He didn't even say ask for this. And Joe Biden told him, you do this or you're not getting acting. We are cutting off all ties with you. This is the guy that Joe Biden went over and basically
fist bumped.
Tried to fist bumped, was all but, trying to kiss his ass to, try to get good with him. And it didn't work. And like I say, this is straight quid pro quo. This is Joe Biden said, give us this until the midterms, or, we're not, we're taking in, or there was a clip I thought. Where is Biden asking favors? Okay, maybe there isn't one. Is there one on the Washington Post website?
No. I know. So, but the problem is that
mind you, or I'm sorry, the Washington Examiner.
Mind you, with the quid pro quo.
This is in quote from Biden. He said, I looked at them and said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. That's the
quid pro quo with Ukraine. When he was doing the quid pro quo to get the state attorney to back off of Burisma. This quid pro quo was OPEC was slowing down their production to drive the price up because everyone's dependent on them. Why not? Right? So he said, either please at least make it to the midterms or else, kind of thing. And it's like, and the thing is, no one knew about it until the Saudi prince from OPEC came out and said, well, Joe Biden threatened us with a quid pro quo. And it's like, you dumbass, you turn on our refineries, you bring us our own oil, we don't even have to deal with them. Now you're going to have to do that because your new green energy deal isn't even in place yet. And how How's anybody going to live?
And that's the thing. This whole thing started because remember when he took office, we were energy independent. We were exporting more barrels than we were importing, which means at any time we could have said, fine, if you're going to cut production, we're not going to sell as much to you guys. Or import as much from you guys. We're going to take it from ourselves. And then on top of that, his EPA shut down refineries. And that's the biggest one right now, because even if we got the barrels, the 2 million barrels a day, we still don't have the refinery capacity. That's why Michigan is so much higher right now, is because the refinery that was in Indiana, I want to say caught fire or something, or running, as much as it should be. And, that services Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan. So it says, after the oil cut decision was taken, the U.S. government, through various statements, has accused Saudi Arabia of favoring Russia and even warned it of sanctions. Joe Biden even said that there will be consequences for Saudi Arabia. He had called that the decision was against the polls in November, and high oil prices are affecting him badly. The Democrat Party leaders in the U.S. have been advocating for cutting all ties with Saudi. Either you do this or we're cutting all ties with you. Mind you,
Problem
this is the same one that
isn't hurting them at all.
Been bad talking for the last 2 years. No, I hope to hell if the Republicans take the House, which it's looking like they will. Contrary to what was on The View that she said it. But if the Republicans take the House, they better open up impeachment investigation into this.
Oh, yeah.
Because if they're going to impeach Trump for saying, hey, I'm leaving in 6 hours, you better have a decision for me about this person. And it was legit. We now have Biden's laptop. Guy for these deals that he was making in China and in the Ukraine. Like this administration, Biden, is so corrupt. But he got in as being Uncle Joe. He's Uncle Joey.
All right.
So,
we're gonna end it on that. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. I got nothing left. You got anything?
Nope. I'm hitting the contact button, and we'll see you guys next week or this week. I don't know. Whenever.
This is Fire Talk Radio Podcast, and you can check us out on firetalkradio.com. You can email us at firetalknetwork@gmail.com. You can send us a voicemail at 814-380-9820. You can always check us out live on YouTube and Rumble. Hit the like and subscribe button to find out when we go live, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting streaming platform.
We can only count to four. 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 Numbers, lots of numbers.
Jason?
Stop.
Ha! It happened.